Welcome. Planning for retirement. It's a very good idea. To further discuss that topic, we have Kristen McKenzie. Welcome, Kristen. So we all agree that retirement's a good idea, but how do we start planning for retirement?
Well, that's a really good question, Dirk. And I think it's especially important in today's society to think about that well in advance of retirement. As you know, we live in a consumerism
Driven economy.
driven economy, and people don't really think about the long term anymore. And I think that starting out with a goal is the most important thing, and then go from there as far as looking at the different sources of income that are available to you and how you're going to fill in gaps that
Right.
exist.
Well, I guess the one source we all think of is Social Security, which we've all been paying into. Can you tell us a little bit about how we learn about Social Security and our benefits there?
Okay. Social Security is definitely the great place to start when you are thinking about saving for retirement. It's going to be available to all of us, hopefully.
Well, that's another discussion.
And for most of us, it'll replace about 40% of our income. So getting a feel for the benefits that you'll receive from that is a great starting point. If you go to the Social Security website, socialsecurityssa.gov/my account, you can set up an online account to view your earnings history and an estimate of your future benefits. And I encourage people to do that years in advance.
Right. I think that is a good idea. I noticed when I went and looked at mine, I had an entire year of income that was missing off mine and just had to file a basic form with a W-2, and they actually added that line back in, but it was missing.
Well, that was the great thing that you did, because it's not uncommon for them to miss a year or make an error, and that can have a big impact on your final benefit.
Great. Well, so we know about Social Security. What are other sources of income in retirement?
Well, depending on your circumstances, you could have a whole array of sources available to you. Of course, there are employer-sponsored plans like the 401k that I'm sure most people are familiar with. There are also a variety of different IRA products out there. A lot of people will use personal savings, annuities, reverse mortgages, and one that's really becoming more popular is post-retirement employment. There's a big trend toward that, whether people are working for financial reasons or for the emotional, maintaining a sense of community and whatnot.
Right.
That's really becoming an important trend.
Agreed. Well, you mentioned IRAs. There are several IRAs out there, and I think there's some confusion amongst most people about what the different IRAs are and how they benefit you, both in retirement and pre-retirement.
Well, there are three different types of IRAs we can talk about. First is the traditional IRA, which has been around for a long time. And a traditional IRA, I like to think of it as working kind of like an envelope. It holds a number of different assets. You can put stocks, bonds, mutual funds in it, but the envelope protects it from taxation. And then you can take the money out at retirement and pay taxes at that point. So it gives you that tax deferral advantage. The other type of IRA that is a newer version and not as familiar to most people is the Roth IRA. And the difference is that with a Roth IRA, the money goes into the account after tax, but you actually can draw the money out tax-free at retirement, which is a huge benefit, especially if you're a young person starting to save. Saving on a tax-free basis over the long term makes a big impact.
Right. And then what is a rollover IRA? We hear this term quite a bit as far as certainly a lot of companies out there encouraging you to roll over your IRA to them. What do we mean by a rollover IRA?
Well, I think the best use of a rollover IRA, or the best way to describe it, is I'm sure you're familiar with people changing jobs a lot more frequently than they did in the past. And if you were to leave your job and you had, say, $5,000, $6,000 in your 401k, it's tempting to take that money out and go on a spending spree. But it's really encouraged that you roll that into an IRA, a rollover IRA. You'll avoid taxation. You'll avoid a 10% early withdrawal penalty. And it's just kind of like a holding place to consolidate employer-sponsored plans so that you have all your money in one place.
Okay, well that makes perfect sense. Well, many of us have sponsored plans through our employers. How important are these both pre and post-retirement?
I think that this is really the place that people should start.
This is kind of where the other 60% needs to come from.
It does. And if you have a good employer-sponsored plan, that's a really big benefit to you at your job. Some of the main reasons that I think employer-sponsored plans are so important, first of all, of course, you can put contributions in on a pre-tax basis, which is going to lower your current taxable income. Secondly, and perhaps most importantly, a lot of companies will offer a match to your contributions, so that's really free money to you. And at the very minimum, you should be contributing enough to the 401k to get this employer match.
Right, and I think we're going to spend a little more time on that in a later session. Any final advice on retirement?
Well, I think that
Or I should say retirement planning.
retirement planning,
We think retirement's a good idea, but we need to plan for it.
yeah, we do. And that's the most important point, is you need to plan. And people that are just out of college, starting their first jobs, it's hard to think about retirement being 30, 40, 50 years away, but that's the time to start. Starting early, compounding is really magical, and that would be my advice, is to start early and contribute as much as you can.
Right. And as you get closer to retirement, I think it's important you also understand how to use your Social Security benefits as well.
Sure.
And certainly with the changes in the laws this year.
It's a very complicated topic, and the more you can learn about it in advance of claiming your benefits, the better you'll be situated to receive the maximum benefit.
Well, great. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks, Dirk.
I think we all agree that planning for retirement is a very good idea. From understanding your Social Security benefits, the sources of retirement income, and when and how to invest your retirement assets. Thank you for joining us.